What up, y'all? This is Tracy from Nerd Squish, and today, if you can't tell from the outfit, we're talking about Wednesday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are delving into the Addams Family spin-off inspired series Wednesday that has dropped on Netflix. Now, originally, I was not feeling this. I was not pumped about it. As much as I am a fan of the Addams Family, I didn't have high hopes for this one. Most of these spin-offs, reboots, whatever they are of these beloved characters tend to just be terrible. And then also the fact that Tim Burton had his hands in it, which as much as I am a Tim Burton fan, you know, lately he's been a little lackluster, just haven't been into his projects. And the biggest thing that had me just not really feeling this project is the fact that you're taking the Addams Family and you're putting them in this situation where you have other people that are weird like them. And I'm like, well, that's no. The reason they're interesting is they're weird people in the midst of this normal world. So like this doesn't work here. However, I dived into this series and was pleasantly surprised by how much I loved it. Now, before we get into this review of Wednesday, if you're new here, this is Nerd Squish, where we take everything spooky and we take everything nerdy and we squish it all together. So if you like movies, horror, and pop culture, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos from us in the future. Wednesday is a spin-off of the beloved franchise The Addams Family, which was created by Charles Addams with the original cartoon back in 1938, and of course spun off to create all these other different versions, the 1964 black and white TV series, and of course, which I think is the most beloved, at least with my generation, is the 90s feature film franchise. So there was a little bit of excitement when I first heard about it because as a 90s kid growing up watching the Addams Family and Christina Ricci's portrayal of Wednesday, I was like, okay, well, I do love this character. But again, I had my reservations. The series starts off with Wednesday seeking revenge for bullies that have been torturing Pugsley, so of course the natural thing to do next is to release piranhas in the school pool and, remove testicles from said boys in this pool because that's what I do when there's bullies amok. This scene where the piranhas are just and the guy's like trying to get out the pool and then you see the blood and he screams and she's smiling. That's peak Wednesday. That's the Wednesday that I know and love. So I was like, okay. I knew right at this scene, this is gonna be good. Naturally, because Wednesday has, made this guy become Lance Armstrong with the one testicle, she is expelled from her school and then is sent to Nevermore Academy, which is the school that her parents met and fell in love. And like most things with the Addams Family, this boarding school is no normal school. It's actually a school for outcasts. Basically, a Hogwarts with monsters, if you will. The students consist of a little bit of everything. Vampires, werewolves, sirens, and these weird people that don't have faces. I don't know their story, and I'm kind of honestly mad that we didn't elaborate on that. Like, what's going on here? What is that? And right away, Wednesday is just not feeling it. Not only is it the fact that her mother just loves and adores the school, and she is in this very rebellious phase where she doesn't want anything to do with her mother. She doesn't want to be anything like her. And it doesn't help that her roommate is 100% the complete opposite of her, and it drives her up the wall. So her roommate Enid is a werewolf that hasn't yet wolfed out, and she is the most colorful looking thing you've ever seen. I mean, it's like a rainbow threw up in this girl's room. So the thing that's really great about this show is they show how this room is divided in half and you have like all these rainbow colors and then you got the Wednesday no, we don't do colors. Black and white forever, baby. However, the town, Jericho, that the school is in, is being plagued by these deaths and these murders by what they think are bear attacks, but we should all know better that it's never bear attacks. So needless to say, Wednesday gets into snooping around and trying to figure out the big mystery of who's actually killing these people because she believes there's a monster on the loose and she is determined to find out who that monster is. So this entire series is basically Wednesday Addams playing this detective Sherlock Holmes type And it has everything from the supernatural, love triangles, family secrets, and murder. And like I said, I was not feeling this. Again, you take the Addams family, you put them in a setting that's very similar to them. What's interesting about that? Well, let me tell you. Because this show had me hooked from the beginning to the end. So let's delve into all the little details that I really enjoyed and I think worked and made this series really, really good. So I am a big fan of Tim Burton, but I do like his earlier stuff, his originals. You know, you got Beetlejuice, you got Edward Scissorhands. These are the type of things that I really like to see from him. His remakes or reboots are typically not really my thing. I think they're good. I don't think they're bad movies necessarily, but there's just never been anything that I really enjoyed. You know, he's done everything from Dark Shadows, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, to Alice in Wonderland, and they're all right. You know, I think this is one of the first remakes or reboots that I've been like, okay, hold on, we got something going here. And I think what worked is that he definitely had all the vibes from the original, but yet it also made it its own thing. And maybe it's because Tim Burton's kind of been linked with the Addams Family for a long time. Obviously, they inspired him as a kid to do a lot of the dark, macabre stuff that he's known for. So Tim Burton produced this, and then he only directed the first 4 episodes of the series. But what's interesting and refreshing about this is it's not typical Tim Burton. Yes, it's dark and it deals with spooky things, but you know what I'm talking about. Like Tim Burton, when you see Tim Burton, you know. And although you can see hints of his, you know, signature style, such as the striped uniforms at the school, the Beetlejuice Easter egg, and of course the main monster whose face, specifically the eyes, that's a Tim Burton character. It doesn't feel overwhelmingly Tim Burton, and it makes me really excited to see what Tim Burton's gonna do moving forward. Like maybe this is the Tim Burton Renaissance, and we're gonna get some really cool stuff from him in the future, which I'm very excited to see. And of course you can't talk about Tim Burton without talking about your boy, Danny Elfman, who scored the theme song to this show, which this song goes so much harder than it should. Like when it would come on, I was always like getting into it. Like I was into it. I was feeling it, and it set the tone for the series so perfectly. And it's not just the theme song. The music throughout the show really sets the tone and helps you get into it. So not only do you have, you know, popular songs that you've heard throughout the decades, but they focus on Wednesday plays the cello. And a lot of times, like, she'll be playing her cello and then it like blends into this like orchestra version of popular songs that we know, such as Paint It Black and Nothing Else Matters. Because after all, is it really a Netflix show if we're not using a Metallica song these days? And all these things, the set design, the humor, the music, it's all great. But the number one thing that makes this show amazing has got to be Jenna Ortega as Wednesday. This girl, she killed it. She killed it. Oftentimes when you're taking a character that we've already seen and we've grown up with and we love, it's like, oh, well, nobody can do it like Christina Ricci, right? Like, even though like you want to be positive and somebody casted as a good actor, like you can't help but think that. But if you've watched this, you're not thinking that. Like now Jenna Ortega is Wednesday. She was born to play this role. And it's everything. It's the way she speaks, the way she tilts her head and she never blinks. And the dance scene, y'all. The dance scene. If you've seen this show, you know. This dance scene is one of the most iconic things that we have seen in the show. And you could tell where she pulled her inspiration, such as, you know, the goth kids in the clubs, as well as dance moves that come from the original on-screen Wednesday Addams. And other notable characters and actors that I really enjoyed and I think made this series is, of course, Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester. Now, I would have never, ever in my life have thought, you know what, Fred Armisen? He'd be a good Uncle Fester. Like, that's never been a thing that has ever passed through my mind, but he is so perfectly Uncle Fester. Like, it works. Thing is fantastic. I mean, okay, this is kind of weird to be like, all this cast, right? All these actors. I'm gonna be like, the guy that played the hand that didn't say anything and just did this. But the way this character and Wednesday interact in this particular series it's great. Like, this is a weird statement, but Wednesday and Thing, a human being and a hand, have like some of the best chemistry I have seen in a long time. It's a weird statement, but if you know, you know. Now I am gonna hate on this a little bit because there are some actors that it just kind of killed it for me. Now obviously the series centers on Wednesday and her new venture at Nevermore Academy, but you do see the whole Addams family for several episodes. And this is what kills me, and at the end of the day, it's not a huge complaint because they're not in the whole series. You know, they pop up from time to time. But Louise Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones as Gomez and Morticia was painful for me to watch. So both of these people are fantastic actors, and I love them in many other things that they do. But as Gomez and Morticia, I'm not buying it. It just felt a little cheap, you know? And then the fact that like, this is the most iconic couple in pop culture ever. And there was no chemistry. Like, they would like say things that were written in a script to tell like, oh, hey, these people are married, and they're constantly, you know, trying to get it on, but like, I wasn't buying it. It was weird. And I guess you could say like individually, like Catherine as Morticia was okay. Louise as Gomez was okay, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. So this really is like a whodunit murder mystery type thing where Wednesday's trying to solve the mystery of who is this monster and what's actually happening at Nevermore Academy. Now, I'm normally pretty stupid and can never guess these things, but right from the get-go, I knew who it was. But at the same time, they do a really good job of keeping you kind of guessing, and like every episode, every scene, every interaction, you're like, oh, but wait, it could be this person. Oh, no, wait, it's definitely him. No, it's her. And like, you're constantly changing your mind and keeping up with it, and I love that because you really can't put your finger fully on it. And on top of all these murders, you also have this whole other plot of this, you know, prophecy that Wednesday Addams is gonna like destroy the school, but in reality, she's the one that's going to save it. Because back in the day, this community of pilgrims led by this Crackstone guy had like killed all the outcasts, right? So through her ancestor, she like defeats this pilgrim, which I'm just gonna stop here, and I have to bring it up. Okay, so slight spoiler, okay? The pilgrim, he comes back. And he's down to fight. It's going down, right? He looks like the leprechaun just like grew. You know, like somebody gave him some water and that boy sprouted up. He looks like the leprechaun, and that was slightly distracting. And my usual complaint with most of these shows and TVs is that the CGI monsters are crap. They're crap. I don't like it. So obviously you're dealing with werewolves, right? So you're gonna have CGI, unless Rick Baker is on the scene. And even that doesn't guarantee it sometimes. You're not gonna get cool looking monsters. So you just, you know, you're getting CGI werewolves, which, I mean, at least it was a werewolf and not just like a person turning into a wolf. I'll give them that. But overall, the monsters were a little lackluster because of the intense CGI. Let me know in the comments down below, what was your favorite thing about the series, and what's the thing that you didn't really like, or maybe something that you're hoping to see in season 2 if we get it. Because as of now, there is no plans to renew for a season 2, but I'm thinking with as successful as it's been, we're gonna see it. And I'm gonna predict what we're gonna see from this is more of the whole Addams family. So I realize I'm sitting here and I'm saying, oh, I loved this show, but I'm like just throwing out all these complaints. Oh, the monsters were terrible. Gomez and Morticia don't have chemistry. Like, I'm just throwing out all these insults. But overall, this entire series was so good, and I enjoyed it so much. The set design is beautiful, the music is beautiful, the story is very, very cool, and it's so great to have one of my favorite characters of pop culture have a series that's all her own. Because I really think Wednesday has always been an interesting character, but to really dive in and get into her macabre mind of like non-emotion is amazing. And of course it wouldn't have been as amazing without the talent the perfection that is Jenna Ortega. Whether it's the original cartoon, the 60s series, or the 90s movies, I think if you like the Addams Family in some form, you're going to love this show. If you enjoyed this review, give this video a big ol' thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when new videos hit the channel, you'll be notified. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you nerds later.